everyone, this is Alexis Percival with the Vinquisition. I am in Portland, Oregon. I have never been here before, and this is a very short trip, so I don't have time to go out to into wine country. But I kind of crowdsourced my industry friends, and everyone said that you need to go to Division Winemaking Company. So I'm here at their tasting room. I'm gonna taste through the flight, and I'm just really curious to see what's going on. It sounds like an awesome project. It's a cute little room. And there's Riley. Hi, Riley. Hey, so it was awesome to spend over 2.5 hours at Portland Winemaking Co. talking to Riley, who is the tasting room and events manager for them. She was so gracious to geek out with me and talk about the wines. But because we talked and I filmed clips throughout that, it's just a lot of material. So I decided I'm going to do kind of a sum up of my biggest impressions, my biggest takeaways, both from what they're doing at Division, but also what I've observed happening across both the West Coast and also just in America as a whole. So Division Winemaking Co., they source their grapes from both Oregon and Washington State, from very good farmers who are farming conscientiously, organically, to biodynamically. So there's a real connection between winemakers and farmers. Now, we see this a lot in the US, especially now because as an upstart winery, it is just cost prohibitive to buy the land, buy the equipment. So what we're seeing all across the country are cooperatives where people are banding together their resources and allowing better access to people to make wines. And I just think that is so exciting because the more voices we have in the room and the more people with different backgrounds making wine, the more diversity that we're going to get in winemaking. And we're not just going to be drinking the same grapes made in the same way over and over again. So that is exactly what they do. And when they started, they did share their facilities with upstart winemakers in order to allow them to produce, maybe a barrel or two of wine to start a project. So I really love that sort of pay it forward mentality. Now, when we think about Willamette in Oregon, we think about Pinot Noir. So if you have any wine training background, you know that we just think Pinot Noir, and if you're talking white wines, you're talking usually Pinot Gris. Now, I think a great rule of thumb to think about this and not get stuck there is that wherever there were immigrants from Europe, they brought grapes with them. And so you see a far greater variety of varietals on the West Coast, and certainly in the rest of the US as well, than we think of. So it is true that Pinot Noir does very well there in the climate and with its history there, but that is by no means all of the grapes that are grown there. And they're not all new plantings either. So just think immigration equals usually a lot of people bringing their grapes with them from their homeland so that they could make the wines that they cared for. That being said, Kate and Tom, who are the winemakers, take a real strong influence from France. And you notice that both in the varietals and the winemaking style. So I had, we started our tasting with a delicious pet nat that had a little bit of residual sugar. I had a Sauvignon Blanc that was so tropical and like mango flavored, but not overly, it wasn't grassy or sweet or overly stinky, which can be a little polarizing for Sauvignon Blanc, but it wasn't as severe as a Sancerre. Gamay, really beautiful, and then I did have a Willamette Pinot Noir that was excellent. It was so precision focused. It was just really great. So the variety, I want to say the tasting, and I'd have to check my notes, was like 8 wines or something, and I had something distinctive to say about every single one of them. It didn't feel like any repetition, it didn't feel like redundancy, but it did feel like very clear vision for each one of the wines. So I just thought that was really cool. Now, in terms of, if you have questions about the natural winemaking, as I said, the grapes are you know, very well sourced. The winemaking, you could call it natural winemaking, but they're not natty in any way. So super clean, super precise, and just very, very enjoyable wines. Yeah, so it was great to see in Oregon what I have been observing, even from the West Coast, from the East Coast. I'm going to end up dating this video, but I spoke on a panel a couple months ago at the Charleston Food and Wine Festival, and we talked about the new face of American wine. And one of the panelists, Reggie Leonard, is a winemaker in Virginia, and his story sort of mirrored what was happening with them, with Division. So I love this upstart pioneering spirit and helping other people get a leg up into winemaking. And that we're diversifying both the voices, but also the styles of wine. And in such a quality manner, you know, not all the experimentation is like weird, challenging, or funky. There are some excellent wines, and one of the best ways to support that is through wine clubs and buying from these winemakers, whether you see them at retail or if you're able to join their wine club and have the wine shipped to you. What a cool way to support these projects and American wine, because it will surprise you if you are in a rut with it, or in a rut with what you think American wine is, or even Oregon or Pacific Northwest wines. I had a really lovely afternoon. I can't speak. I can't say enough about how good the wines were. And I did buy a bottle for myself. Oh, here's another thing that I should mention about visiting tasting rooms. Spring allergies. If you are in the industry, meaning that you work in the wine industry, and you are invited to a winery and they host you, maybe give you some snacks, and the winemakers or a winery worker takes their time to talk to you, there is sort of an unspoken agreement that you will purchase a bottle or two or more to sort of support them and thank them for their hospitality, since they're giving you their time, their knowledge, and their hospitality. So if you go and you pay for your tasting, buy bottles just for the hell of it, because you if you can do, because it's just a great way to support them directly and have an awesome souvenir of your time. So I did, in fact, buy a gorgeous bottle of Chardonnay that I did the tasting, and then I couldn't resist getting a glass of it to try it, and then I loved it so much that I bought a bottle. So I have a great reminder of my trip to Division, and I ran into some really fun people there. You'll see. I have a couple more clips for you to enjoy, but Portland was awesome, and I really look forward to going back and checking out the wider area for a longer trip than this time. So we'll continue on with the video. Thanks. So the final wine of the flight is Gamay. So again, going back to their, I guess, sensibility towards French wine, and for me, this is the most classic one, where I was like, yep, this smells and tastes like Gamay. It is carbonic and partial carbonic maceration. It has that forest berry thing. It's really pure and really lovely. So it's kind of nice to end on a classic note, I guess. And overall, this has been super pleasurable. I'm very excited to have discovered them, and also just to see what's new and exciting. And not want to say new, these guys have been around for over a decade, but if there's more of this happening, that's exciting. And I don't know, I have to figure out which of these I want to buy and take home. So in true New York fashion, I'm at the tasting room at Division Wines and run into two people from New York who are also in the industry.
Hi!
And who are you and what do you do and how are you in the industry?
I'm Lori Ellen, and I have a direct-to-consumer cookie company that I run out of Brooklyn, and you can check me out there. Mm-hmm. And I'm Ren, and I work with the spice company Burlap and Barrel.
Amazing, this is what happens. Awesome women in business. This is beautiful. Oh, right in front of the speaker. This is beautiful Olivia, who was my camera woman today. So, hi Liv.
Hi.